That's a very good point as well, John. I completely forgot about the POS 1 Kunkka that we've been seeing so much of, so I certainly agree that could be a very potent lane to go up against Talon. I suppose DP5 against Mars could be a little bit awkward, because you do have the spear to push her back and just kind of get her away, but it's easier said than done though in the heat of the moment, so I guess we'll just wait and see where they continue as the drafts do continue, John. Waiting for those Spawn.496 bands to fly out, and the same for Talon. How have you been the past couple days, John? I haven't really talked to you too much. I haven't had the pleasure of hearing what you've been up to. What have you been up to, John?
Nothing. I've actually done nothing. You know me. When okay, I've been playing Ags Labyrinth, I guess. That's it. Just running Ags. I'm trying to fill out the entire tree. I'm not even playing the highest difficulty. No. I'm playing Apprentice. I'm just playing Apprentice on spam because it's fun. It feels like an actual roguelike where you can be broken. You just run like Magic Jug, which is like easy mode, or right-click Undying, which is fun with the right shards. But yeah, that's my fun, Mike. I'm just I don't know, it's like I like my roguelikes. Ags Labby is a fun mode. Sometimes you get some very strange games for Apprentice where people are really trying hard, which is I appreciate the sentiment where every game is serious, Mike, but it's level 1. We're grinding for shards. It's not the end of the world, guys. You just build what you want. It's fine.
You know how it is. I mean, maybe they're new players, John. Maybe they're just coming in and they just want to get through level 1, as we do have a Dazzle popping out. Very surprising pickup here from Talon. Jonathan, talk to me about it. What is this Dazzle pickup?
It's not good, is the first thing in my mind, because we saw that. Didn't we see this in Div 1, where the Dazzle came out and just wasn't good, not impactful? There is some flex here for Talon. Like, you could run a core Dazzle, but since the removement of Necronomicon, we've never seen core Dazzle come back. Remember that time where I think China in particular, while we were casting, really loved offlane and mid Dazzle? Yeah. And just Necronomicon rush with a Dominator and just run around, maybe even a Midas if they're fast enough. It is really good protection here. Especially since you don't have to worry about something like an Axe from Spawn.496, as they are going Spirit Breaker. So it is looking a bit likely we'll see the red Spirit Breaker offlane, the Kunkka may be safer mid, and the DP Grimstroke support duo, which is really potent. There's a lot of tankiness there with the Spirit Breaker charging and with the Kunkka to save. There's a decent enough team fight coming through with the Kunkka as well, just off the back of that one hero. Lockdown might not be the best, but you've got enough options there. Talon, they go into the Ember Spirit now for Mikoto. So this is one of his staple heroes. It hasn't performed to the best that we've seen it, but maybe this might be the game that it does go through. It is interesting to pick Kunkka, Ember Spirit into the Kunkka. Now, there are still ways to dodge out the X, as we've seen before, but it's also not the easiest time. I think Spawn.496, despite only really having Kunkka and maybe Phantom's Embrace to lock in the Ember, that's probably more than enough, and now they can kind of look to shift things around. All right, if we don't feel comfy with Kunkka mid against Ember, which is perfectly fine lane, we can still pick something else, give Ghost to Kunkka, and start to hit some momentum here, because they have a lot of early timings with Kunkka, DP, and Spirit Breaker. That's a really early online lineup that I think Talon has to be ready for, especially considering Dazzle, even as a support, takes a long time to really hit its spikes. Like, you kind of want Ag Shard, you kind of want to hit your level 18 for the max impact of the bad Juju and cooldown reduction, and that takes a lot of time in the game.
It does, John, and this is another thing between these two teams, right? Like Spawn.496, they're known for their hyper-aggression. It's just run at your Dota, whereas Talon Esports, they're much more conservative, right? And we've seen that in many games from Talon, where they just take a backseat, they want to play the slow game, they want to farm up quite a bit, they want to get that XP going. I just question whether Spawn.496 is going to allow them that time and that comfort of being able to just hold on to their towers and just keep farming. I highly doubt it. We'll see how Talon intend on dealing with it, because I don't think Spawn's going to make it too easy here. So we do have our final pickup now to be made. This should reveal where everyone's going, as it is still a very flexible lineup, and they do go for the Queen of Pain last pick, so a very interesting way of closing, John. I assume that's going to be the Quap mid flying out here for Spawn.496, though I suppose you could correct me if I'm wrong.
I've heard rumblings of Quap 1, and I think it has been popping out in other regions, so there is that flex factor. I think in lane matchup, Quap versus Ember is not really the easiest for Quap, because you do burn down, and Talon go back to that Gabby special and the PA to close out. So On paper, this is actually really strong for Talon because you've got the minus armor from the bad juju. You can keep your PA alive. There's no axe to chop you down. I just worry about that timing issue because you've got PA who needs a lot of farm. We're talking about Battle Fury. We're going to need a BKB here as well. They do go to XL Learn Quap on mid, so it's a Ghost Kunkka safe. And if you look at that lineup from Spawn.496, they have a really strong mid-game timing. Like around 15 minutes, everything should be lined up. You should have your Orchid or Ewelts on the Quap. Your Kunkka should at least have the Armlet up. You'd have your Exorcism ready on your DP. Your Spirit Breaker might be able to have his own Echo Saber or Shadow Blade up at that point, and you can just run and gun. Like there's so many ways for you to just pin them down. You do still have to worry about the Dazzle maybe having a lot of saves with that Shallow Grave. Considering you have a Spirit Breaker, considering you have a Kunkka and Quap, it should be easy enough to jump the back line. I think for Talon, in terms of making those plays happen here, Mike, there's so much pressure on Hyde and KP to kind of make that happen along with Mikado once he has maybe his Orb of Corrosion and Phase Boots Javelin up. Like these three heroes have to buy that space out for Gabby to really hit that spike in the PA.
Well, you know the viewers, John, they love me asking you the difficult question here, so I'm going to ask you to give us a prediction, Jonathan. Game number 1, Spawn.496 versus Talon Esports. Who came out with the better draft in your opinion?
I would actually lean towards Spawn.496. I think they've got that crazy lane of Kunkka DP, which is so strong. It's one of the best lanes for a DP to play with because as a 5, you lack control. Kunkka does not. And you can just hammer on the damage. You can kind of slow down that pacing from Mars. They've got that insane mid-game timing by 15 where their heroes are really online. They've got great mobility. There's only one hero to pin them down here on the side of Talon. That's really just basically Hyde on the line. So I think it's going to be easier for Spawn.496 to execute. And if we consider what we saw in that series where Spawn.496 beat Lilgun, they did have like a stronger draft up against what Lilgun were doing, but the execution was the most impressive part. Like they really played as a team quite strongly, and I think that's where the difference will lie. Whether or not Talon is ready to hold up against that kind of coordination here.
We're going back in.
Not gonna be easy, that's for sure. I'm wondering as well what kind of item build Gabby goes for. I mean, he's queued up the Battle Fury timing, John. It does feel like it might be one of those games where the Battle Fury might take too long. I mean, he's got the Orb of Corrosion queued up as well, so it does seem like Gabby is going to be prepared to fight early on if necessary, and I would kind of agree with that Orb of Corrosion itemization. I thought to myself, maybe he'd go Deso BKB this game, but it does seem like he is a little bit hellbent on picking up that Battle Fury instead.
It's the weird thing with PA up against Kunkka safe, because if you don't go Battle Fury, you will really just drop off a cliff in terms of farm. Right? Kunkka has Tidebringer, Kunkka has Torrent, Kunkka has even the boat if you kind of have huge ancient stacks. So he will flash farm faster than you if you don't have something like the Battle Fury up, and I think that's why Gabby will have to go for that slower build up, but it just causes that timing issue we talked about. So again, Talon's going to have to stall the game out to hit those timings on Gabby particularly. It doesn't look like the easiest time to do so, but they have stall mechanics. We'll just have to see if they can pull that off.
Oh,
we shall.
What a beauty.
We will start with the bot lane, of course, and this is the hero you keep talking about, John. Ghost on the Kunkka. Gonna be there with Ohio on the +5 Death Prophet, along, of course, with Hyde on that position 4 Lion and KP on that +3 Mars. You did kind of go over this laning stage quite a bit during the draft, John, but give us a TLDR. Who has the advantage in this bot lane?
I'd say it's really even. You have kill potential on both sides. Both kind of heroes are very tanky, especially in Spawn.496. DP's hard to burst down. You do have that doubled stun that can come out from Talon, but it's going to be hard to really burn either of them down. And I think the key timing here is going to be level 3 for both sides. That's when you have the X value point ready to go on Ghost, or at least the level 2 Tidebringer for more damage. And that should give KP his level 2 Spear, which can kind of rip through. But there's just so much sustain. Even jumping Ohio is going to be tougher. And I think Ohio's doing a great job of just zoning them out. So as long as Ohio's the one copying the stuns from the line, your Kunkka's not really under threat. And that should lead to a much better farming lane, which then I'd kind of favor Ghost.
Learn, he got very close to dying there, John, but now Makoto's going to drop quite low himself. A very close call in this mid. And I suppose we should have a talk about it while we have a chance, John. Makoto against Learn. The Quap vs Ember matchup, it can go either way. For now, it does seem to be going Makoto's way, but still very even. Is there anything in particular we need to watch out for here?
It's really the skill buildup of Learn that dictates this. He does go for the Scream of Pain level 2 by 3. So it's a 1-0-2 build. And this does allow you to rip through that level 2 Flame Guard a lot better. and it does allow you to shove out the wave a little better. But without the blink, controlling runes is a bit tougher for Exilern. He does have his bottle up. He's going to have to shove out the lane to get the opportunity to run back. Mikado is trying to be aggressive. You have to watch for that screen when it is available.
Yeah. I'm not sure what he could have done there. He only had Scream and Shadow Strike, but Makoto, understanding he didn't have the blink, goes for the kill and gets it solo. And that should mean 2 water runes for the Ember.
It's a big start for Mikado. He just gets to stay in lane. He has a slight level advantage now as well. Full level above 4 compared to 3 on Exilern. And for Exilern, just a bit of a mistake. You have to respect the Ember's damage output with that level 2 Flame Guard. You can still do a good amount of damage to it with your Scream, but one cast isn't enough to burn it down. It does provide Mikado a lot more durability. And now with the level 2 Sleight of Fist as well, it's going to be easier for him to dodge out those Screams of Pain if it does come out, and even the Shadow Strike's really easy to dodge. So a bit of a tougher time for Exilern, but still not too unbalanced. He just needs to kind of hold on, maybe get a value point and blink down the line.
Look how aggressive Makoto can be, though, while he knows that blink isn't up. Just keep charging onto Exilern, but we'll have a look at the top lane as well while we have a chance. Of course, Gabby going to be there against Red and Zhao Bon. He'll have the support of Fly on the Dazzle. Another very interesting lane as well. Like, Red can get very aggressive with the Ink Scroll of the Grimstroke, but now it's going to be Talon who jump in after the Spirit Breaker, and you've really got to watch that slow, but Fly, he's going to cop a big stun out with that Ink Scroll. Still Gabby trying to help, but a nice charge up from Red. He'll keep trying and a bash. Final hit though, Gabby is going to jump in. No bashes out for Red, and he will be able to get the kill. Fly the one to claim it on the Dazzle.
Rather unfortunate for Red, who was hoping for that bash on turnaround. Not quite enough on the RNG there. And Talon are starting to find themselves that start. For the side of Talon, having a PA and Dazzle can be pretty aggressive. You can play with a Poison Touch slow, stack the Dagger slow on top of it. You've got the Orb of Corrosion on Gabby. There is some good counter control coming out, some good minus armor as well for you to build off and just kind of run with. This is giving Gabby a bit of a better start than you'd expect. You're not applying as much pressure here on the Spirit Breaker as the Mars is applying down quad. So Gabby's still going to have a pretty decent ramp up into his Battle Fury timing if you will rush it at the end. And that is a cause of concern for Talon. Like, they just haven't been able to shut down that PA fast enough.
They have not. But they do jump in again. Fly this time around. Gonna end up going down here to Red, and you've still got to respect the amount of damage output they can pump out with that Ink Scroll charge. So Red, he does get a little bit of revenge, but I suppose as Talon, as long as Gabby's safe, you don't really mind Fly dying like that. You're more than happy to see him go down as long as Gabby's hitting creeps.
Then there's just nothing stopping him. Like, you can't really just stand there and fully trade hits with Red because the PA can stand back, play with a dagger. He does at least get a creep pull off. So some free EXP coming out here for the Spirit Breaker is going to be big. We're going to have to see if Red starts to maybe look for some early rotations down the line or call for his team to come up. They need to kind of take control of that jungle down the line there as well, Mike, just to ensure that no major stacks are being made. You know, the PA doesn't get as much space as you'd like it to, and just kind of nip that in the bud before it gets really big here.
Across the map, Hyde dropping very, very low, though KP is able to save on the Mars. We'll actually salve up KP as well, so Hyde, he's just going to run all the way back to the fountain, leave the Mars behind to just keep soaking XP down to that bot lane. And speaking of the bot lane though, John, you talk about the great farm on Gabby, but look at Ghost. Even better on the Conquer right now. Really no contest at the moment for Ghost, and it does seem like it's going to be a very good Conquer game thus far.
He's already set to hit a pretty fast level 6 timing, and once that boat is up, these fights get a lot better for Spawn.496. They can play off the back of their Kunkka. Armlet not too far off as well, so you're really not needing any major farming items on this hero. You just want one durability item, get running from there, you can start forcing fights, and you can maybe slowly build towards your Shadow Blade into Silver Edge, have that break mechanic for the PA, and kind of handle her from there.
Absolutely. Back in mid, Makoto, he's still having a fantastic time on the Ember. Exilern, though, he has managed to catch up, but Makoto just no fear any more of this Queen of Pain, and he keep going forward. Onto the Quap. Was this time around, he does have Blink, and Makoto won't have Chain, so not really the greatest way of locking down Exilern. Don't matter too much, though. It does seem like Makoto's just more farm-focused than anything. He's already had enough kills for himself for now. Surprisingly enough, I mean, Spawn.496, I realize it's still very early, but that signature hyper-aggression we're used to is yet to be shown. So they've only found one kill across the map thus far. I suppose you are waiting for those, say, level 7, level 8 timings on your heroes before you really start to group up. At least for now, though, they are quite content doing the same thing Talon's doing.
You're just taking it slow. I think for the side of Spawn, the levels are very important, as you pointed out there, Mike. You don't even have level 5 yet on red, so you kind of need to wait for the level 6s to come out. You can start playing around with at least the Nether Strike and the boat up and running. That could be their big time to start being aggressive, but this is way too much space given out to Talon. I think Mikado having this good time on mid is going to ensure that he's going to have his phase boots up, he's going to have his javelin up along with his Orb of Corrosion, and that's the Ember Spirit's early timing. You can see Spawn.496 already kind of clumping up mid to maybe relieve some of that pressure from Learn. Still lagging behind that Quap, and the Quap's timings are a bit longer with the Orchid, with the Eul's build up. Kaya-Sanj has been popular as well, and all of that's a lot more gold than the Ember needs to have that same impact.
Oh, absolutely, and you saw 3 heroes show up in that mid lane, but nothing came of it. Mikado just remnanting away, and just feels like both supports time was wasted as they go bot lane instead onto KP. They want that Mars down, but he's a tanky boy. They do land the boat, but that's about all they land is now KP. He drops the arena down. He'll go for a run the other way, even going back for the Courier of Ohio. They won't quite have the damage for that. Instead, mid lane, they'll make the jump in onto the Ember. Silence is there with a Sonic Wave out Learn. It should not be enough, and it won't be. The Shadow Strike, it'll keep going, but the end Mikado is going to be able to survive and eventually just go back towards the fountain.
Just playing on the edge from both sides. No one dying from either of those engagements. That is giving Learn a little bit more room to play with, but he commits a massive cooldown spell. Sonic Wave being down for 2 minutes means there's a window where Talon's going to feel a lot safer. Not going to have to worry about those rotations. They can just keep Gabby up top, keep farming up. Red has been falling so far behind, being jumped now. The damage from Gabby with the minus armor from Fly, or just the slows from Fly, is enough to kind of pressure this Spirit Breaker.
It's just so hard with the poison out from the Dazzle. Like, the slow just becomes so ridiculous. For a hero like Spirit Breaker who does rely on movement speed, it kind of makes it impossible to turn around and actually fight. You can just kind of kite him out as Gabby and Fly just did. As Gabby now, his second kill of the game on the board, or rather first, as Fly was the one to pick up the first blood. Still very good news here for Talon at this top lane, as Gabby is just freely able to do whatever he wants. Though I'll make the same comment as last time, John, so is Ghost. So you've got to ask yourself, do you prefer the Conquer, do you prefer the PA?
I think for the first 15 to 20 minutes, you would be very happy with the Kunkka having this lead, but you need to pressure the PA at the same time. They will make a move onto Gabby.
Yeah, silence is there. Fly, he's going to try and move in and help out. Shallow Grave is available, but no, the silence is there from Ohio now. But Gabby, he's able to blink strike over to the Daz, and it looks like he will not go down. Salve out from Fly. The PA will be just fine to survive and continue this laning stage. As Spawn.496, it's their first major rotation, but it amounts to nothing.
Yeah, it's just not enough burst damage come through. You kind of need the Quap up there to help you dish some damage out as well. You only have level 4 on Ohio, so his spells aren't the highest damage output. And this is just giving Gabby the confidence to stand there. As long as Fly is around with Shallow Grave, he should still be safe.
Well, they'll go after Fly first this time around, but Gabby, he's going to jump in onto Zhao Bomb, but a big Sonic Wave out Learn. He's joined the team fight this time around. Hyde, he's going to try and run. Gabby, he is helped out with the Earth Spike, but Gabby's still in big trouble. He'll go for the blur out with the Hex there, but Gabby should eventually drop, and he does. Learn with a great rotation does find a double, but now Mikado, he's shown up, and it's 1 by 1. Silence is there. The bash is out as well. Mikado, he should be able to find a way out surely, and he does. But it's just very late timing from the Ember, unable to really help out or find any worthwhile trade for himself. That's a massive pick off for 496 now, as he does make his way onto Ohio again, but is just not confident enough to keep going.
Yeah, he doesn't really want to force there's way too many heroes from Spawn.496 nearby that could easily rotate in, so gonna have to accept that loss. It does take a lot of resources from Spawn.496 to get that kill onto Gabby, but it's a very needed kill, a very necessary kill that they had to make happen, so it's worthwhile. They can't quite go for a full push. They do have Exorcism up on Ohio now, and they want to commit up top, they could, but there's a smoke play from Talon here.
This could be big. Mikado, Hyde, they're going to try and move in, but there's still 3 heroes around, so it's not going to be that safe. But a great Earth Spike out, Hyde. He's already fingered down Red. Zhao Bon now just going to go for a run away. Mikado, he does have the chains out, but they land on the creeps. Oh, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. And well, that time around Makoto, he definitely got very unlucky.
Yeah, it's a unfortunate time. They do at least still find Spirit Breaker. Smoke moving now from Talon though, from Spawn.
AP gets siphoned up, but he does get a nice arena down. Still the boat gonna land, and now a lot of damage flying out as he tries for the TP play, but it's just too long. Way too long of a TP is Makoto. He's gonna keep trying. Onto Ohio, he does find one, but he wants the big one. He wants XE Learn, the Quap, but he will blink away, and he'll be just fine for now as Red. He'll join the team fight. Onto Fly he goes. Never mind Fly, he'll go back in after Makoto. The Nether strikes up, but he won't throw it out. Not yet. He'll just keep pump faking onto Makoto, trying to force him back away from Ghost, who is being chased down by Makoto right now as we speak. But the armlet toggles are going to be there from Ghost, so he's fine for now. As XE Learn going to be targeted by Red. A nice charge in. Does stop the damage as Makoto now. Ooh. He's going to cop a Sonic Wave and he's gone. That was a fantastic charge in from Red to save the day. And poor old Fly, he was left behind. Red's just trying to keep up the vision, waiting for that charge to be off cooldown. And eventually it will be, so Fly, he's not going to be safe either. He'll try to delay it out as much as he possibly can, but eventually he will fall. Fantastic plays from Spawn.496.
And how does on the edge? The turnaround coming out from XLR and seeing that opportunity to use that Sonic Wave. Big kill and keeping down Makoto, preventing that Ember from really hitting its massive spikes with a Maelstrom coming through next. That is giving some much needed space to Gabby, but the farming pace of RPA just isn't fast enough. There's still an 800 gold gap between Ghost and Gabby now. The Battle Fury's almost up. I think that's the point where you can maybe start saying Spawn.496's movements out are a bit too costly. You know, having your Kunkka have to join in these fights is slowing down his own farm pace as well. And you need to keep a check on where that PA is farming. No aggressive wards here, Mike. It's free reign for Gabby in his own jungle.
It's still going to be very nice timing on that Battle Fury, considering he went for the Treads and Orb of Corrosion beforehand. And well, that Battle Fury going to be up in just about 30 seconds to a minute, I'd say. Spawn.496, they're going to find Makoto. They do have the silence out there from Ja Bon Bon. Stun is going to land to boot. But do they have the damage? They actually have quite a bit for Makoto. He's going to be saved here by Fly as he's thinking about what to do. The silence is still out and now the charge in. Red, he was charging the whole time. And now Fly, well, he's not safe either. He's going to die a second time along with Makoto. And Hyde died across the map. This is where that aggression, John, it really starts to kick in for Spawn.496.
Oh yeah, they're ready for it. Ghost already has his travels up, going for that, and the armlet just to show up all across to ensure these movements come out with the charges coming in from Red. And they've got the Exo ready for this push. Mid-tier 1 gone. That's when the jungles open up, Mike. That's when you can have some impact on that PA's farm. And Gabby's going to feel a lot less secure in finding some room to build up now. No tier 1 towers taken yet from the side of Talon. They haven't taken bot, they haven't made any moves towards mid. So there's no real space opened up. They still have their triangle fairly secure here with a good amount of stacks, but that needs a Battle Fury first. It is close for Gabby. We'll see how well they dance around this lack of control here once that Battle Fury is up and how much they can enable Gabby to really become a beast on that PA.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're kind of looking for the Deso BKB before you can really get too involved here by Gabby. Maybe just go for the BKB first if you feel like it's necessary here, and I'd say it may be for Gabby. So a couple more of those team fights going the way of Spawn.496, and you could find yourself in big trouble here as Talon. We'll see what Gabby does decide to do, whether he does go for the extra damage output or whether he wants that magic immunity first. Spawn.496, they're going to go for that top tier 1 tower now. Talon will do the exact same thing across the map, taking down that bot tier 1. So pretty even trade in terms of objectives, but you've always got the advantage of having that mid-tier 1 down here for Spawn.496. Still Talon, they are going to start smoking up and rotating into that mid lane. See if they can set up for their own mid-tier 1 tower. They've got the blink up on KP, so you've got some nice initiation. Hyde will be right behind him for the follow-up stun if he needs it. Meanwhile, Red going for a charge down bot lane, but it seems like he does sense something is awry here. He backs off and cancels the charge. And Talon, they have not been able to set a nice bait here for Spawn.496 to try and go down. So eventually Makoto will reveal himself, but it does appear to be too late. Smoke has already worn off. Again, the Radiant, they are just not showing on the map. Maybe now Xiao Bonbon, he is going to be spotted up by that ward. KP will jump in with the arena round. That should be at least one to go down, as the finger will get the job done. Now the charge back in onto KP though. Are they going to go all the way? It seems like they will. Red, he's in with the Shadow Blade out into the Nether Strike, but no. Just a bit of a pump fake. It does feel like as long as they hold that mid-tier 1, Spawn.496, they're going to be happy.
Yep. Mid-tier 1 safe. They only lose their Grimstroke. That cost them Arena and Finger from Talon to even get that kill. So some of your burst, some of your area control is gone. And Spawn.496 realize that. They go for their own smoke play. They know those big spells are down. They can punish easily here.
But they can. We'll hide. Could break the smoke, but no, he's just out of range, so no smoke broken. Instead, they're going to find Fly, which, you know, arguably is an even worse target to find, but they'll have to take what they get, as Red will charge through, and that should be a nice, easy dazzle kill for the side of Spawn.496. But again, that's about all they're going to get. So not too big of a deal here for Talon either. And Gabby is just across the map farming up with Blur. So again, John, I feel like I'm saying this for the 50th time this game, but Ghost is still quite far ahead of this PA.
It's a fresh Battlefield pickup, so it'll take some time to really catch up in net worth there. I think they should be able to build that up down the line. They do manage to catch out Ohio here.
That they do. Nice Earth Spike out with a dagger to fly in. That'll be one gone, but Ghost, he wants a trade. He does smack hide with that Shadow Blade armlet, but it's not going to be enough damage. Instead, it's back onto KP where they do split out the Mars, but a nice spear away. It's going to allow a bit of time here for KP to find a hiding spot. Doesn't actually have a TP available, though never mind. He has the boots of travel. He'll be just fine. In fact, did I say boots of travel? He doesn't. I was looking for the Conquer, but nevertheless, John, he does have a TP. Still, 10-7 now with a very slight net worth lead for Talon. And they're still playing that very conservative game. Just no rush here from this Dire side.
Yeah, just taking their time. They know Gabby can scale into that late game. He's working towards that BKB that you mentioned earlier as one of his choices next, so he's going to be protected. A lot of control from Spawn.496 disappears. However, their control from the Spirit Breaker is still going to be an issue. We've seen games where Spirit Breaker late game having the bashes right through spell immunity just changes the course of a fight. That's always going to be something Gabby has to think about every single time. As Red, he might be a bit far behind, but once he has enough to, you know, get his Ags shard, even a BKB is not going to save you from that Spirit Breaker, so it's going to be a bit rough, even scaling.
Makoto, that's his last remnant being thrown out. Can they hold him down long enough? Not quite. Soulbind, though, is going to land, but now the arena is there. Still XE Learn, a big Sonic Wave out. In the backside, they do get Xiao Bonbon's hide. He's going to try and back himself out and just kite out XE Learn. As KP jumps back in, that'll be Ohio gone now. KP's got a double, and in they go. Spawn.496 need a way out of this. The Shadow Blades may just be enough. They've got no dust available. The KP, he had the dust in the backpack. And with that, everyone else just walks out of there scot-free.
They back off. They lose their two supports for that. Not the biggest losses for Spawn.496, but they're really not finding the kills they want either. That fight was very split up. They couldn't manage to get the chain control off onto Mikado. You don't have anything like the Orchid up yet on XLR. He did opt for a second item BKB after Power Tread. So there's a severe lack of damage. There's a severe lack of follow-up for a Spirit Breaker jumping in from the Quap, and I think that's kind of setting them back here. Like, you do need a BKB in this game. I just feel like first item BKB with nothing else is pretty optimistic in terms of allowing you to find kills, because yeah, you're not going to die, but you can't set up for the big ones you need to pin down. Still, Spawn.496 not dissuaded, gonna try again.
They are. Back into that Dire jungle they go, and they might run right into KP and Fly. You'd rather go after the Mars, but Red, oh, never mind. Makoto, he shows up the last second. Silence is there, but it looks like Red, he's gone for another target. In fact, they've jumped Fly, but he got the Shallow Grave off in time, and now Gabby, he'll jump in with the BKB out. Red's gone. Onto Ghost they go, but never mind him. Back into the backlines, onto XE Learn, onto Xiao Bonbon. They've got the Grimstroke gone. And we go back in after Ghost, after the Conquer. Sure, you lose KP, but what does it matter? It's a great trade here for Talon, as they're going to find a fourth now. Onto Ohio. Gabby onto a triple kill on this Phantom Assassin, and it looks like it's Roshan time.
It's not going to take them too long to rip through the Roche, especially if Fly just manages to keep that bad juju up and running. Minus armor is going to start to rack up. So they've got a lot to play with on Talon's end, and Spawn.496 is just so split up. You pointed it out, Mike. They were charging one target, they were going for another. Mikato came in, broke up the fight in the middle. They were trying to focus down Fly, and they couldn't take out the Dazzle, even with that backline jump. I think that's because Mikado just zipped up and forced Excellent to focus on him. If they had the Quap jump into the backline instead, help focus down to supports, maybe that fight turned out differently from Spawn.496, but the coordination wasn't quite there. Talon managing to punish that split up, and now the game is definitely in Talon's favor. 4K up, 11-13. Gabby is completely online, going for the Desolator next. And that's when he can really just rip through a lot of these heroes. Like, you will have to have the boat buff up to kind of prevent that damage, but you don't preemptively use the boat. So it's really hard to get the max damage reduction there for your team fight to kind of stay alive. I think for Spawn.496, they need more items up. They need a BKB done on Ghost. They need the BKB done on Red. They need spell immunity across the board. They need a little bit more control from Excellent. He's going for the Shivas next in the plop, so skipping that Orchid, but...
A bit of an unlucky charge through there onto KP. So I believe he wanted to go up top lane, but does end up cancelling it off once KP realizes there was a charge happening. Well, Talon in the driver's seat now with a 4K net worth advantage. They'll start moving with a smoke out into that Radiant Triangle. Of course, Aegis is still on Gabby, so you've got something very nice to play with here if you are Talon. Does seem like Spawn.496 have read the movement, however. We'll back off at the right time. The Talon, they'll be very patient, allowing Gabby to take down that top tier 1 tower by himself, hoping somebody shows up, but or even Ghost just TP's out of there, realizing the whole team is smoked up right behind him. And Talon, well, they'll get a nice little objective for themselves, but in terms of the smoke, nothing really comes out of it. But it does seem like Gabby, he's going to keep going. He really wants to try and force this fight with the Aegis up, and, well, quite frankly, John, I can't blame him.
Yeah. Fresh Deso's flying out, so he's got the minus armor from the Orb Corrosion, the minus armor from the Deso, Bad Juju running on top. He can melt any hero that shows up very quickly, so it's a major spike for the PA, and it gives a lot of confidence for Talon. I think even if they don't find a kill from that smoke, it gives them such a good position on the map. That doesn't matter. They can hold triangle now, they can take and pressure the rest of the tier 2s. They take the top tier 2, they can pressure mid, keep that lane shoved in. And finally, for us, Spawn.496 to be taking a fight in an awkward position.
Red, he's going to be fine for now. Hyde dropping low. Learn, going to be careful, but a Sonic Wave there. Shallow Grave, however. Hyde steeping out. He might just make it, and he does. Even the X-Back, though, Ghost trying to bring him back, but Hyde, he's not dead yet. He's back for the team fight now as Learn. He's the one who needs to run. Meanwhile, on the backside, Makoto, he does take down Jail Bonbon. And he's going for a little bit more here. Onto that Queen of Pain he goes with the chains to land out, and Gabby hoping for a lucky crit, and he gets it. He'll get all he wanted, apart from the Quap, who barely blinks out, but not quite far enough. As Gabby, he'll still find the kill. Back in on Ghost they go. They found that pos 1 Kunkka, and that'll be another triple kill for the side of Talon and for the player of Gabby. It's a full team wipe, John. No Aegis needed. As Talon, they'll go straight after that top Rax.
Now, it looked pretty bad when Gabby was dropping low. They split their focus. They were trying to get Hyde instead. The X was on Hyde to prevent the TP. And the backline was being torn apart by Mikado. So you didn't have the supports to help you clean up, to help get that control off. You just took a lot away from Spawn.496. And with the damage on Gabby, these towers just melt. Getting Deso up, Orb Corrosion up, towers just get ripped to shreds. And Spawn.496, we're seeing some issues here. You know, you don't have enough on the Kunkka to really take control of PA. You don't have that break mechanic up yet. You don't have the Ag Shard on Red. He still needs his BKB. So they're very vulnerable to this instant jump in, to the control from Hyde, to the backline jumps of Mikado, and there's not much you can really do to relieve that.
IO needs to be very careful here on this DP. They need every hero they can get for this defense. You've still got to deal with Gabby twice. He's still got that BKB up. Very scary times here for Spawn.496. They'll charge in, and that's a fast charge out from Red. Back in onto Makoto. They're just going to try and burst down the Ember, and they might just have him, and they do. That'll be one down, but Gabby, he's going to jump in onto Learn, trying to go after that Quap, but won't have quite enough, as now they might need to kite, but no, Learn, he's gone. Gabby takes care of it, and once more, onto Ohio he goes. The DP, he is just going to melt to the damage of Gabby. They just keep bashing them over and over again. Onto red they go. Hex is out. The finger's there. Hide. He's got the damage up. But now the spear from KP. Back in onto Ghost. Gabby's still going. The Aegis is still not down as the Conquer will just get crit out. Another triple kill, John. That's a triple kill. It was to go after red now. In fact, never mind him because they foul shout Bob. They want a rampage up for Gabby and they might just have it. GG's call, but the rampage coming. Oh, it's coming, Gabby. He'll be able to pick one up and tell him they'll pick up game number 1 here against Spawn.496.
I can't believe it. You know, we were talking about coordination. We were talking about how Spawn.496 seemed to have used that break to become a stronger, cohesive team. Talon, in the course of 1 week from the last time we saw them, seems to have improved massively as well. So maybe, just maybe, Mike, they're out of quarantine. They're finally together as a team. The comms seem to have improved. They're moving together well. They're using their Dazzle pick really well to the max. And they just managed to break up every single fight that Spawn.496 wanted to hit. I think the big issue for Spawn.496 in that match, Mike, was laning phase. Laning phase for Red and XLearn wasn't as smooth as you'd wanted it to go, especially for Red. Red was just severely behind the PA. I think they underestimated the Dazzle slow plus the PA dagger slow in terms of harassing out something like the Spirit Breaker. And that just kind of caught them off guard. They were trying to go for the bash kills, didn't come out in laning. And once they drop a couple of those kills in lane, Gabby was set up for that quick Battle Fury timing. And again, his jungle was uncontested. Spawn.496 did not have the aggressive wards. They didn't keep track of the triangle. And that just allowed Gabby to play his PA game that he loves to play. Just farm, hit the spike, and start running once you have a BKB Deso.
Well, something's never changed, John. Gabby's still looking rather fantastic on his signature PAs. We are going to head to a very short break, and of course, after that break, we'll be back with game number 2 between Spawn.496 and Talon Esports.